Today we'll be going over the 5 players in Blue Lock who I feel resemble the Generation of Miracles. Now the Generation of Miracles are all a special talent and they are a once in a generation team, but it's still cool to see the comparisons in Connect Blue Lock and Kuroko, so let's get to it. So first we'll be starting with Kise. Kise is known for his copying abilities and can copy abilities and make them more powerful than what they were before, although he cannot do this with the Generation of Miracles talents. At first he couldn't even copy the Generation of Miracles, but eventually surpasses his own skill and is able to do so. Kise joined the Generation of Miracles last and didn't play basketball for that long. Kise was very arrogant and can get very serious when playing. He looked up to Aomine when playing and wanted to do whatever it takes to defeat him. Before getting into playing basketball, Kise was constantly bored and apathetic due to him being easily able to master any sport in a short time. It was only when he started playing basketball at Teiko that Kise felt his skills truly tested against the other Generation of Miracles. Kise is also a huge ladies' man, as all the girls in school always flock to him. Now the person in Blue Lock who resembles him is Rio. Rio as well is able to copy others, but not at 100% of the skill. Rio's skills have improved increasingly since the start of the series, and he is continuing to evolve and showcase why he is a top player in Blue Lock. He also did not play soccer for that long as well. Rio also looks up to Nagi as a superstar talent, and he wanted to beat Nagi before rejoining him. Rio was very arrogant in the beginning and can get very serious in matches, and he is also quite the ladies' man as he was very popular with girls. Rio comes from a rich family and he got whatever he wanted, so he got bored very quickly of everything. Because of this, Rio picks up soccer and finally sees a challenge that will be exciting for him. These two can resemble each other in a lot of aspects, but the main thing is their copying skills. They both are also able to copy higher skills as the series goes on. Kise though has a limit on his talent and cannot use high skills forever. Rio does not always have the ball in soccer, so it's a lot different for him. Next we have Murasakibara. Now Murasakibara I would say was the one person with the most talent who worked the least amount compared to everyone else. He fools around a lot and does not take things seriously. He claims to only play basketball because he is good at it, and he hates players who play basketball with a passion, even when they are losing. But as the series goes on, it turns out he loves basketball from the bottom of his heart. Murasakibara never played seriously because he was scared of always injuring his opponents if he actually got serious. He scored 100 points in a game at one time and then decided to mainly just switch to defense. Murasakibara also had the tendency to let people make decisions for him, and he was always obedient to Akashi and did whatever he ordered him to. Murasakibara was a talented, less working prodigy. He did not agree with the phrase hard work beats talent until later on when Kuroko defeats him. He is a very childish character and really just lives a lazy life. The Blue Lock character for this one is none other than Nagi. Nagi as well was a talented genius who never needed to work hard at anything. He wanted to live a carefree, lazy life until he was invited by Rio to play soccer with him. Nagi could not understand the frustration of losing because he never felt what it was like to actually try and lose. If Nagi didn't like anything, he would simply give up before being beat. He could not understand why people tried so hard even if they were weak, just like Murasakibara. Nagi does not even know much about soccer and was considered a monster because of his amazing reflexes and jumping skills. Nagi would rather play video games than actually train to get better. It isn't until after he experiences his first loss that he finds the frustration of losing. He finally starts to motivate himself and take the initiative more. Nagi then strives to improve his soccer skills because of this. Nagi is also a childish person at heart and would rather people make decisions for him, as he was always playing based off of the passes he received from Rio and Asagi. This makes perfect sense for putting Nagi and Murasakibara together. Next we have Aomine. Aomine was the ace of the Generation of Miracles and considered the best, as he was nicknamed the Unstoppable Ace. Aomine has a short temper and has a huge admiration for Japanese idols. Aomine has a very unique style of play due to his upbringing of playing street ball. He has a very flexible style of basketball and is very hard to guard considering his speed and size. Aomine was truly a one-of-a-kind player and even stood out compared to the Generation of Miracles. At first he stopped practicing because no one could beat him anymore except himself. Then after experiencing his first loss, he decides to train more and feel excited to play basketball again. Aomine was the only player who could enter the zone on his own command and was the first to ever enter it consciously. He considers himself the strongest and he casts his feelings towards his opponents aside and now views them as weak and wants to crush them. He often seeks to humiliate them in the worst kind of fashion. Aomine on 2L Academy was hard to work with and very difficult, but they all respected him because he brought a high-powered offense that could not be beat. They even allowed him to not practice and just show up for games whenever he wanted. He was the star of the show and had the Blue Lock egotistical mentality that we have all seen. The Blue Lock player for this is none other than Shido. Yes, Shido, who is known as the Demon, is a unique player as well. Shido is another eccentric player in Blue Lock who has a strong penchant for violence, or more specifically physical altercations. At the core of Shido's personality is the drive to play football, not because it is a sport he enjoys playing, but because to him it is a biological phenomenon that makes him feel complete. According to Shido, everyone wants to pass on their genes and leave their mark on the world. Scoring goals is Shido's way of doing that, and that is his sole focus. He gets excited from playing high-level football with other high-level players and is bored if people cannot make him explode or don't explode themselves. Shido has a high temper just like Aomine, as he's always trying to get into fights, and how Aomine has an admiration for idols, Shido has an admiration for Sae. A noticeable trait of Shido's is his propensity for violence to get what he wants, often being unwilling to work with most people or if anybody at all. He seems completely aware and content with the toxicity of his behavior and only feels slight remorse about it once he is electrocuted and locked up for being overly aggressive and threatening serious bodily injury unto others. Shido can also be overly and unnecessarily sexual at times, and though he is prone to violence, he also learns how to control his violent rampages in exchange for playing high-level football longer. Shido is able and willing to acknowledge other people's skills, praising Asagi for making the best play of the first game of the third selection, when Ren wouldn't, despite Asagi stealing a goal from him. By the time of the Neo Egoist League, Shido is able to control his anger and violence enough to share the field with his most hated rival, Ren Itoshi. Shido relies on instinct to score his goals, and he calls it an explosion. Shido is able to score from basically anywhere on the field and can find the goal without even seeing it. Shido also has high spatial awareness that allows him to do this. The cells in Shido's body are telling him he can score. He really is a maniac. He was also the first person to reach flow consciously, just like how Aomine entered the zone first. These two couldn't be more similar in their own ways. Next is Midorima. Midorima is a very reserved and calm individual. He feels no need for fooling around. Acting kind to opponents is very hard for him, while his friend Takao has no problem with that. He is very confident in his abilities, he often acts high and mighty around others and mostly his teammates. His belief in guaranteed fate / luck and his overall approach leads him to be a rather calculating and analytical person in general. Midorima has good insight and is able to understand other people's abilities easily. Also with this insight, he out of all the other Generation of Miracle members was the most aware of his own body's limitations, handling his supernatural talents, and worked to overcome the issue with such knowledge in mind. Revealed in the flashback, when the Generation of Miracles started to grow arrogant, Midorima was different from the rest. He never stopped practicing and still valued its importance. When Generation of Miracles would make a bet on getting the most points in the game, he would not participate because all he wanted to do was fulfill his role. He went along with the situation as long as they were winning, although it did annoy him. The other fact that shows that he differs from the other Generation of Miracles is that so far, he's the only one who has had the guts to stand up against Akashi. Midorima was a 3-point specialist who prioritized making sure every shot could be made. He never wasted a chance and always depended on calculation and luck to score. Even though he is calm, he once snapped in a game and was considered a wild beast. He is definitely a very logical person, but is also the most self-analytical. The blue lock character we have for this is Ren. Ren as a kid was an instinctive player, but eventually would change his style to a more logical style. He is entirely focused on soccer to an almost obsessive degree and is also very egoistic, as he is always putting his goals first over everybody and their motivations. Ren has a lot of pride as a striker, which borders on arrogance, since he frequently describes other people's soccer and way of thinking as lukewarm or mediocre. These mannerisms and behaviors came from his brother. In an attempt to be like his brother, Ren copies his words and embodies his mindset. Ren commits to a routine of aftercare at the end of each and every day to improve his physique, and he is often found in the training room doing drills or weights. Despite his arrogance and aloofness, Ren truly lives and breathes soccer, dedicating every waking moment to improving himself. His mentality combined with his personality is what makes him the top candidate for Blue Lock's supposed best striker. Everything Ren does is to enable him to beat his older brother and end the rivalry, but after Ren moves past his revenge against his older brother and his rivalry with teammates, he reaches a clarity in his decisions. He now aims to free himself from anything that ties him down and establish his own identity as an egoist, without relying on his brother, teammates, or rivals. Ren has good insight as well and can understand other people's abilities. He works on his body every day and understands his limitations, just like Midorima. Ren always took on competition with high confidence, as seen when he tells the World 5 that he would crush all of them. Ren always works on getting a good shot across from his view. He thinks in a logical way of getting in spots to score a goal. He also has his own belief in luck, as he works on creating his own luck in order to score goals. These two are the calculating, logical superstars. Last but not least, we have the best for last in my opinion, the absolute emperor, Akashi. Akashi was the captain of the Generation of Miracles and had a very intimidating personality. He's able to control the Generation of Miracles as their leader, and they all submit to his requests. Akashi has a certain level of respect for all his teammates, former and present, and has utter faith in their abilities. Due to the way Akashi grew up during childhood, He developed a strong winner's mentality, believing that winners get everything in life while losers are denied all. Because of the fact that he has never faced defeat before, victory itself is something that he is bestowed upon. Akashi views himself as absolute in power and skill and grows extremely violent when anyone disobeys his commands. Initially, Akashi's personality was that of a person who respected his teammates while still holding that winner's mentality. Akashi also cared and appreciated his fans that gave him daily support and focused solely on team play with his team. He also referred people by their last name as a sign of respect and was overall less menacing. The original Akashi personality has red eyes. In his middle school years, Akashi developed a second personality that twists on the original personality. This personality showed extreme hubris and does not tolerate those that belittle him or defies him, saying that those who serve him or earns his respect can look to him in the eye. Now, I was very torn on who could relate to Akashi the most, but after spending more time looking into who could fit the best character, I decided to choose Asagi. Now, as you know, Akashi has two personalities, one that was kind and respectful and one who was intimidating and condescending. Asagi does not have two personalities, but he definitely showcases two completely different personalities, one on the field and one off the field. Off the field, Asagi is a nice, kind, and tender person. He shows respect for others and is easygoing. However, basically after the second selection, Asagi in-game is a completely different person. He is intimidating, he insults people, and he demands absolute respect and control over the field like Akashi. It makes almost too much sense for me to compare him to Akashi. Akashi's personality was a twisted win-at-all-cost mentality, and Asagi's ego has driven to that point as well, as he will go against anyone to gain victory. Akashi's second personality was formed due to the fear of being left out, so he gathers a cold mindset to ensure absolute victory. Blue Lock has taught Asagi to put victory and scoring goals over everything, even at the cost of your own teammates. They both have a winner's mentality that only came from the environments they were put in. Akashi grew up in a family where success was imminent. Asagi had to garden his way out of a prison-like facility where every day was like a battlefield. These two have a lot of similarities, and that is why I decided to choose Asagi as his character. One honorable mention I do have for Akashi would be Itoshi Sae. Sae has been cold, blunt, and very serious. He's only ever cared about becoming the best in the world and has only had time for things that get him closer to his goal. Sae can also be arrogant and condescending, looking down on others even if they are older than him and have more organizational authority. He is egotistical in his football play but has shown to be able to restrain himself and play his position, not trying to outshine others unnecessarily. Sae seems to easily command respect in the room from most people due to his reputation and skill, even with his bad attitude and candid way of speaking, and he is able to handle and entice rowdy and tough people into listening to him or doing things his way. These traits are also known in Akashi, and I would have put him as a character, but I felt the current Asagi is molding into a new Akashi. Well, these are the 5 characters from Blue Lock I felt resembled the Generation of Miracles. It feels good to collab sports animes together as Blue Lock continues to thrive in its own way. I thank you guys for watching the video. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I will be back in the next one. Peace.